The Unknown from 1927 is a really odd movie. The premise is truly strange, but I chose this to cover for Scary Mania because of a couple of factors. Number one, it was directed by Todd Browning, who would go on to direct the original Dracula a few years after this, starring Bela Lugosi. And the movie starred two genuine legends. Well, one genuine legend and one legend who was about to become a legend. The male lead is played by Lon Chaney Sr., aka the Man of a Thousand Faces, and the father of Lon Chaney Jr., Universal Studios' The Wolfman in the 30s and 40s. Lon Chaney Sr. is probably best known for playing the Phantom of the Opera in the non-musical version of the Phantom of the Opera, and playing the Hunchback Quasimodo in the non-musical version of the Hunchback of Notre Dame. He was known as the Man of a Thousand Faces because he was so good with makeup that you could never really tell that it was him. He was kind of the last of a dying breed of sorts. In this movie, he plays an armless man, and it is admirable that he developed the makeup for this role himself and developed this character himself. It's a little weird because he plays an armless man, but the man himself is not armless. It's all ruse. So my question is, has no one really noticed that he is not armless except for his henchmen? Like, I have so many questions. The female lead is played by Joan Crawford, who would go on to have a long and lengthy career of her own. She was just 18 when this movie was released, and her career was really just getting started. In my research, I found that the role was supposed to go to Greta Garbo, who would go on to have a great career in her own right. However, MGM simply just gave the role to Crawford instead. Like I said, this movie's kind of weird. It's a horror movie in the sense that it's an armless man trying to go after the daughter of the owner of the circus ringleader, but he's kind of being a creep about it. And the ringmaster is saying, no, you can't go after my daughter. It's more of a melodrama than a horror, I suppose. This movie, for being as short as it is, really takes a minute to get going. There are some genuinely tense scenes, though, and it does take a minute to get there, but it does get there, and overall, it was an entertaining watch, but at times very disturbing in the right ways, but also confusing. This is very much a mixed bag. I recommend seeing it if you're a big Lon Chaney guy like I am, or if you're big into like silent films like I know some people are. So I recommend that from a historical context, because watching this, I was saying to myself, you know, if you give this to someone like, say, Lee Winnell, I think he could crush something like this. Or maybe give it to someone like a studio like A24. They would do some weird stuff with a premise like this. I'd see it. But it's also available on YouTube if you look in the right place, and I give this one a modest recommendation.